iREP Security HR Module. This video will explain the fundamentals of pay scale calculation using iREP's HRM system. On a 6-day workweek, we would have a maximum of 12 working hours per day, which will be split into basic working hours, overtime hours, and rest hours. A typical security agency will operate on AA31 on weekdays, 8 hours basic, 3 hours OT, and 1 hour rest. On Saturdays, the basic hours would drop to 4 because according to the Ministry of Manpower, the maximum of basic work hours in a week is 44. The remaining hours for that day would be pushed to OT. With 7 hours of OT on Saturday and 3 hours of OT on the weekdays, we will have an average of 3.67 hours OT per day. In a typical calendar, there are big man months and small man months. Let's assume that it is the biggest man month, with 27 working days. To calculate the total overtime hours in a month, simply multiply average OT per day with number of working days in that month, 3.67 multiplied by 27. That would give us 99 hours. According to MOM, the maximum hours of OT with overtime exemption is 95 hours. Since we have exceeded the specified OT limit, this calculation is not viable for security operations. Instead, we will use A822, 8 basic working hours, 2 hours of overtime, and 2 hours of rest. The second hour of rest can be 2 intervals of 30 minutes or 4 intervals of 15 minutes, be it toilet breaks or rest breaks. On Saturday days we will have 4 basic working hours, 6 overtime hours, and 2 rest hours. With this, the average OT hours per day would drop to 2.67, which equates to 72.09 OT hours for the month. Since the maximum OT hours per month is 72, kindly ask your employees not to work overtime on the last working day of the month to avoid exceeding the limit. There are also other methods of calculation that can be negotiated and adopted. Go to iREPPro.com. Log in with assigned company ID, user ID, and password. We will now introduce the HR module, which is under Employee Management. We have an Excel template for importing and exporting the HR database. Let's say we have already done importing, and we will use an employee named Johnny to show what can be stored in our HR database. Click on the Edit button to view his details. His profile will consist of basic personal information, position and other employment details. Employment terms will be stored here, where we can view his current as well as past company's employment records. Under Documents, we can store copies of PLRD license card, IC, and work permit, etc. We can also enter the document's expiry date, where the system will notify HR 1 or 2 months prior to expiry based on your settings. Key Employment Terms, KETs, can also be viewed via the iREP mobile application once it has been uploaded here. This is the list of clients that Johnny can work for. Next, for payroll settings, let's say that Johnny's basic pay is $1,200, and he works 6 days per week. The system would calculate his daily rate, hourly rate, and OT hourly rate based on his attendance list and the formulas taken directly from MOM's website. Make sure that the basic salary to be shown on the payslip is correct. Then key in the 822 pay scale, which is 7.33, 2, and 2.67 to be exact. Save, and proceed to next part of the payroll. Other components of the payroll include CPF, levy, self-help group fund and allowance. The naming list here can be customized accordingly. If the officer got a loan, we can make monthly deductions here. Lastly, the officer's bank details. All PWM compliant certifications acquired by the officer will be stated here along with a soft copy. With the certifications, the system will assess the officer with the progressive wage model. In this case, Johnny have not acquired the RTT course, which is highlighted in red. If an officer with sufficient experience have acquired all the relevant certifications, he will be recommended to HR for promotion. To process a pay run, go to Payroll. Then find respective payroll and edit by clicking on the pen icon. Pay period and list of staffs to be paid can be seen here. With Johnny as an example, click on the pen icon. When Johnny first joined in 2018 August, his basic salary was $1,200, therefore to calculate his payroll in August 2018, we will use this value. Click on Calculate, and the system would generate his daily rate, hourly rate, and OT hourly rate. Check that basic salary value and pay scale is correct, then proceed to save. With the rates established, we will now move on to the payroll calculation. The system would automatically display the number of days for the respective months. Click on Reload Result to Summary to get Johnny's records from iREP attendance. We can view his attendance list here. Public holidays and leave will be shown as well. There are 3 calculation types here, namely Daily Basic, Hourly Basic, and Monthly Basic. Some employment contract states that if an employee works for more than, for example, 25 days within a month, the company will award them with full basic pay. If that is the case, we need not calculate daily prorated pay. We will use the monthly basis calculation type, which will calculate full basic pay and prorated OT pay. However, if there is no such condition in the employment contract, we can always use the daily basic calculation type. Here, we will calculate daily prorated hours, days of paid leave taken and OT hours. These values are taken from the attendance list here. If Johnny has requested to work on rest days, he will be paid as usual. For company requests to work on rest days, Johnny will be paid an additional day's pay. Moving on to additional payment. Add bonuses and performance rewards here. Usually additional payment is used for compensating the loss of transition hours from the 831 pay scale to the 822 pay scale. Back to calculation summary, the additional payment is indicated here. Johnny participated in company events with different pay rates on 2 different occasions. The system allows multiple pay rates within a single payslip. Total pay for the events is $570. Go back to summary, and the $570 is reflected here as part of his pay package. Deduction-wise, for example, Johnny lost a company card, we can add deduction here. And the pay advances are deducted here. After deductions and reimbursements, Johnny has a net pay of $1,417. Calculate and save to double confirm. And let's preview the payslip. This payslip format is entirely from MOM, with your company's logo on the top left-hand corner. Pay period, company and personal details will be shown clearly with the fixed basic salary. Breakdown of pay calculations and final net pay with number of days worked. Once the payslip is finalized, it will be sent to Johnny for acknowledgement via the iREP mobile application. This is an example of acknowledged payslip. Select the payslip that you wish to generate CPF submission for, and click on the pen icon. There's a number of functions here. We can also generate document for bank giro submission. For CPF submission, check the necessary employees, then click on Generate CPF submission. The system would process the files, and prompt user to indicate date of CPF submission, and company UEN number. Once the files are ready, designate folder path and save. The file is in .dtl format, which can be directly uploaded to the CPF website. We will now show how Johnny can view his payslip and KETs from the iREP Security mobile application. From the main menu, click on Payslips. As shown here, the August payslip have been published. Click on the plus icon for a preview, and click again to view the entire payslip. Enlarge to confirm the details. If a hard copy is required, Johnny can approach his security agency, or email his payslip to a public or home printer to be printed. All emails sent out will be BBC'd to the respective HR managers. There is also a signature feature for employees to acknowledge their payslips. To view KETs, simply click on KETs and select Application to open document. Thank you for watching. That is all for iREP Security HR module.